I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast, presented by FanDuel. Game 5 elimination game against the Orlando Magic in Detroit. Whoo! We won. We won. Wow. That game, I've been so nervous all day, you guys. I didn't know what team was going to show up. We're going to go over quarter notes. We're going to go over box score. We're going to go over team stats, open up the show to Q&A like we usually do. If you guys are new here, that's kind of how we like to do these post-game shows. But let's get into our quarter notes with this game. So, start the game. I loved how we came out. Pistons tried to do the force feeding the Jalen Duren, trying to get him involved early on. They did it last game. Obviously, he did kind of struggle a little bit defensively, but scored a little bit more. Still would like to see, more aggression out of him, but really loved what I saw out of the Detroit Pistons in this first quarter. They were so aggressive driving to the lane and getting to the free throw line that I don't think I've ever seen this before. The Detroit Pistons got into the bonus, you guys, with 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Magic were just following like crazy, and the Pistons were able to get to the free throw line and attack the offensive glass, giving them more possessions. This has been a series where the Magic have actually kind of won that battle on the offensive glass, but was really happy to see the Pistons, come out aggressive, come out locked in, didn't have to wait till the second quarter or until, the second unit came in with 5.5 minutes to go in the first. And they came out to play. And that's something that I think a lot of us have been kind of like saying like, hey, like we need you guys to be locked in as soon as that ball hits, center court and you're jumping up. But really loved what I saw out of them very early on. Duncan Robinson and Desmond Bane got a little dust up. Duncan kind of got screened off, and Wendell Carter held him and kind of pushed him. And the very next possession, Cade's dribbling the ball up the court, and Desmond Bane's grabbing on to Duncan Robinson again, and he pushes him. And I'm not a lip reader, but it almost looked like Duncan said get up, or get up Bane, or get up bitch. I have no idea what Duncan Robinson said to Desmond Bane. They've been really chippy towards each other this whole series. I was expecting something to happen. It was a little dust up. Nothing really happened. No technical fouls, which I was happy to see that this officiating crew didn't, give anyone technical fouls for just, playing physical and getting each other's face, right? Bench unit with Stu, Danis, LeVert, and Cade were able to kind of keep a pace out there. And they dropped 38 points on the Orlando Magic after 12 minutes of play. So it was 38-26 Pistons. Going into the second, they got really comfortable getting into their half-court sets. Everything was organized, kind of calmed down on the turnovers. Paolo Banchero obviously was going to take over. Him and Cade both finished with 45 points tonight, but he was just so aggressive at getting to the free throw line. And that's just kind of his MO, is just playing that bully ball. I mean, he's 6'10", 250, and the Pistons weren't really able to stop him. One thing I do want to nitpick on, I don't understand why we keep switching Duncan Robinson onto Paolo Banchero. Nothing against Duncan. I would much rather see someone else try to take that assignment. I know Tobias Harris has been the primary defender with Paolo Banchero because both of them play the power forward. But the switches with Duncan, I just hold my breath. I'm like, please miss, please don't foul. But yeah, he got to the free throw line a lot. Just kind of nitpicky by me, something that I was observing, through this series. Cade was able to get to his spots and just rise up over the Magic defenders. Obviously, Franz Wagner didn't play this game. He's out with I believe a calf strain or some kind of lower leg injury. And it was mostly just Jamal Cain, Anthony Black, and Desmond Bane. And, they're not as tall as a Franz Wagner, and they don't have the wingspan that he does. And Cade was able to just get to his mid-range spots or get to his three-point spots, which he had a really good game from three, and was able to just rise up over him. And he was able to keep the Pistons afloat in this second quarter. And, the Pistons were up as much as 17 points in this second quarter. But the Magic were able to hit threes tonight. This was another game where they shot really well from three. I believe they shot over 45% to end the game. They made 17 threes, and that's not something that the Magic are known for, as being a good jump shooting team. But whether it was Desmond Bane, Paolo, or Anthony Black, even Jalen Suggs hit a few, they were able to cut into the Pistons' lead. And late in the second quarter, they were getting to the free throw line, and there was a play where Isaiah Stewart, put his hand through the rim. He finally got caught because he has kind of gotten away with it a couple of times, and the officials didn't call it. This time they did call it, so the basket counted, and Jalen Suggs was able to get a free throw. Then there was a loose ball foul with Wendell Carter, so more free throws for the Magic, but Pistons were able to hold on to a lead. Wasn't a 17-point lead, it was a 6-point lead going into halftime, 66-60. Coming out of halftime, Asar had like this really weird, awkward fall on his ankle. He was going up for a rebound, and I don't know if he landed on someone's foot, but he was in the back, and I wasn't entirely sure if we were going to see him again. I just kind of was like, great, Asar's hurt. And then a few minutes later, Tobias Harris was trying to guard Paolo Banchero. He kind of like hit a platform underneath the basket, and then he was holding his ankle. So I was like, man, like, we're just getting ankle injuries, and I'm just like, crap, man. Like, if you get two starters that are getting ankle injuries, and a game 5 that you need to win, it's going to be really hard without two starters. But Tobias was able to stay into the game. Asar did come back later in the third. He did enter the game with Cade. I don't know if he got taped up, or maybe they just kind of went to see what was going on with his ankle. Didn't really get to see what happened with his treatment, but he came back into the game, and holy crap. We always talk about his impact, and I think a lot of people focus on the scoring, and I get it. Like, offensively, he's still a work in progress, but it was just everything he was doing, rebounding the basketball, which he had over 15 rebounds tonight, deflections, putback points, the 50-50 balls, diving on the floor for the loose balls. Like, his impact is just so huge that when he's in games, this was obviously his best playoff performance that I've ever seen. And I was so happy to see him come back into the game after he had. But the Pistons were really able to finish strong because of Asar Thompson and just his energy that he brought after coming back into the game. And the Pistons were able to have a 10-point lead going into the fourth, 89-79. To start the fourth, man, it looked like the Pistons were just going to put the Magic away. They were just hitting big threes. Paolo Banchero kept the Magic afloat, just attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line, hitting a couple of threes. And Orlando cut the Pistons' double-digit lead to 6 late in the fourth. Paolo Banchero gets it within a 3-point game. He just hit a huge three-pointer. Cade has the ball coming up the court, and probably the most crucial basket in this fourth. He hits a mid-range jump shot, elbow jump shot, crowd erupts. Pistons go up 5, and they were able to survive to force a game 6. Final score for the Detroit Pistons, 116-109. The series is now the Magic 3 games, Pistons 2. They go for game 6 in Orlando on Friday. That will also be an Amazon Prime game. And, before this game, a lot of the Vegas odds had the Pistons as a favorite. They've been a favorite every game, but this was a 9.5-point spread. Over on FanDuel, I was kind of surprised that the spread was as high as it was, kind of given how these games have just been down to the wire. But man, like, just hell of a game by Cade Cunningham, dropping 45 points. We're going to get into the box score, as you guys could see, just everyone that did contribute in this one. Tobias Harris shot 50% from the field. He had 23 points and 8 rebounds, 2 big steals as well. Really crucial to get those 20 points out of Tobias Harris. Duncan Robinson got in double digits scoring in 25 minutes. He had 12 points. He was 50% from the field, 4 out of 8 from the field, 3 out of 6 from 3. He also had 3 rebounds. Really crucial when you can get Duncan Robinson scoring. It seems like every, post-game show during the playoffs, it's been like 8 points, 7 points. Haven't really gotten double-digit scoring. You can get him like around 12 to 15 points. It just creates a whole nother dynamic. But just the way the Magic have been guarding him on the three-point line, throwing bodies at him, making sure he's not getting clean looks, it's probably easier said than done, just kind of considering how much attention that he is getting from Orlando. Jalen Duren in 28 minutes had 12 points. He was 4 out of 6 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 blocks. Don't really look at the box score for Jalen Duren and think, oh, he had 12 points, 9 rebounds. Still defensively, he's just kind of standing there. There were multiple possessions where I was very frustrated with his defense. I much would rather play Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed a little bit more. I don't really know what's going on with Duren. I really don't. I know some people want to use the he's 22 years old excuse. This is his second playoffs. And it just seems, defensively, he's just not really locked in. He's not really rebounding the ball the same as we saw in the regular season. And he's kind of been getting, out physical by Wendell Carter in this series so far. But this is kind of my 2 cents on Jalen Duren. Obviously, the box score tells a whole different story. But if you watch the game defensively, it's still just kind of has you wanting more as a starting center and a guy that was an all-star this year. Cade Cunningham, MVP tonight, 45 points. Set a Detroit Pistons playoff single game record, passing, I believe, Dave. I think they said Dave Bing, or it was either Dave Bing or Bob Lanier. I don't remember the stat exactly, and Isaiah Thomas, but 45 points, 13 out of 23 from the field, extremely efficient, 5 out of 8 from 3, perfect from the free throw line, you guys, 14 out of 14, 4 rebounds, 5 of 6, had 6 turnovers, which you'd like to get those down. Obviously, it wasn't 8 or 9, but we'd like to kind of get those turnovers down going into game 6. You don't want to be giving the opponent too many more chances, to capitalize on your mistakes. Sar Thompson, we're just going to be reading this stat sheet because it's insane. He did score 6 points, 3 out of 5 from the field, but 15 rebounds, led the team in rebounding, 6 assists. He did have 5 turnovers as well, but he had 5 steals and 2 blocks. He was just an absolute menace out there. Just love the energy plays by him. Isaiah Stewart in 20 minutes only had 5 points. He had 5 rebounds and 1 block shot. He actually, him and Danish Jenkins were the plus-minus leaders tonight with a plus 10. Javonte Green in 15 minutes did have 5 points. He had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, plus 4. Karis LeVert in 25 minutes scored 2 points. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists as well. And Danish Jenkins in 16 minutes had 6 points. He was 2 out of 8 from the field, over 5 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 2 assists, 1 steal. And as you guys can see, the DMP coaches' decisions did not play. So Paul Reed didn't get any clock. Tolu Smith didn't get any clock. Ron Holland didn't get any clock. Marcus Sasser or Chaz Lanier. So this has kind of been JB Bickerstaff's rotation against the Magic so far. As we get into the team stats with the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic, the Pistons shot a better percentage, 49% to Orlando's 48%. The Magic did shoot much better from 3, 45% from 3, where they made 17 out of 38 attempts. The Pistons shot 36% from 3, where they made 10 out of 28 attempts. Orlando, I'm just going to say this right now. If they would have shot a better percentage from the free throw line, this game is completely different. 16 out of 30, 53%. The Pistons did a very good job at the free throw line. 28 out of 35, so they shot 80%. Pistons did win the rebounding battle, 49-33, 16 offensive rebounds. They didn't allow Orlando to win that battle tonight. Orlando did have more assists than the Pistons, 21-20, had more steals as well, 12-10. Both teams were even with 5 blocks apiece. Turnovers, the Pistons had 17, Orlando had 16. In fast break points, the Pistons had 19. Orlando had 14 points in the paint. The Pistons won that battle too, 48-36. And Orlando had 26 fouls to the Pistons 21. So the margin battles that we've talked about all year, the Pistons won, points in the paint, rebounding, transition points, transition opportunities, fast break points. They were able to win that and, kind of survive. But you look at the free throw percentage for Orlando, like I don't see them shooting 50% from the free throw line at home. I'd be very surprised if they did do that. But I do want to open up the show to comments and questions with you guys. I do see a couple of you have dropped some thoughts with this game 5, whether it's rotation questions. I see a bunch of Ron Holland questions in here. We're going to get to that. We're just going to take a quick break, go through these comments, and make the rest of this post-game podcast about you guys like we usually do. But we will be right back after a quick break, you guys. Okay, guys, we're back. We're going to get into the Q&A segment of this podcast. It's the open forum. So I do see about 9 comments and questions as it does relate to this first round series, rotations. So let's get into it. So one of the first comments that we have on our post-game show comes from Morphus. I want to kind of get into what he had to say. Let me just remove this lower third real quick so we can put his comment on the screen. He says, wow, Asar played his ass off. Asar got 6 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I think a lot of people get frustrated with the offensive productivity as it relates to his jump shot because they like everything else. They like the intangibles defensively, the rebounding, the hustle plays, the deflections. Like if he develops a jump shot, he's a very scary player. And I know from talking to people that do work for the Pistons that the jump shot is a work in progress behind the scenes with Fred Vincent. And they're kind of taking it in stages. Like this year, what they really focused on was mid-range jump shots and free throws. And eventually what they want to work on with the SAR is, once he kind of gets comfortable with the free throw shooting in the mid-range, they want to take him out to the three-point line and expand his range. But that does not mean he's not working on becoming a better three-point shooter. You see multiple clips from beat reporters that he is practicing corner threes with Ron Holland and Fred Vincent. He is practicing all facets of his game, but the main focus this year for Asar was mostly free throw shots and mid-range shots. And, occasionally you will see him kind of pull up from mid-range. He kind of has like this tough mid-range, like fadeaway jump shot that he has hit this season. He's hit it a couple of times in this playoff series, but his impact, man, like leading the team in rebounds, getting more rebounds than both centers out there tonight. The 5 steals. Like, he led the NBA in steals this season, and just his overall impact. I really think you can't stress enough how important he is to this team. I know some people just don't even want him on the floor because they feel he's an offensive liability. But when you're making just hustle plays, and you're just kind of like the energizer out there in the starting lineup, keeping possessions alive. I said it with Koo after game one. I said I would rather lose with Asar Thompson on the court versus him being on the bench, because this is very good opportunity for him to get more playoff reps and get his confidence up. He might make mistakes along the way, and that's all a learning process, in my personal opinion. And we have to be patient with a lot of these kids on our roster, you guys. Like, a lot of these players, and I know like our expectations as fans are like really, really high, and I understand that. Like, I want to get out of the first round too. I want to see this team, have a deep playoff run this postseason. But at the end of the day, these kids are still learning. It's their second playoff series as a core together. And they're learning on the fly. They're learning like how intense playoff basketball is. They're learning how a possession could easily be a 5-point swing if you're not careful. Like, these turnovers are a very good lesson. The overfouling with Orlando is a good lesson for this team. But yeah, Asar's impact was just absolutely incredible, especially in the third quarter when he did come back with Cade Cunningham. Really felt like he helped the Pistons to propel to get a 10-point lead to end the third quarter. Morphus does have another comment, and I actually had said this last post-game show. We should start Isaiah Stewart. We play better when he is in the game instead of Duren. I want to kind of just like give my opinion, but I do agree with Morphus's comment about Isaiah Stewart starting versus Jalen Duren. And this has nothing to do with how much I like Jalen Duren as a basketball player. I think he's a good basketball player. He's 22 years old. I thought what Udonis Haslem said on the Prime post-game show was very important, saying like he's 22 years old. He's not in his prime yet. His prime is 26, 27, 28. He's still a young kid. He's still learning, but he does have to, put better games together. But I think when you talk about Isaiah Stewart's impact versus Jalen Duren, I think what you get is more just lateral quickness. You get more versatility in the pick and roll. You get more versatility in drop coverage. You get more of a consistent rim protector. You get a guy that can pick and pop with Cade, can set mean screens. My only fear with maybe overplaying Stewart is injury, because he plays so damn hard. He only plays at one speed. If I were to start Stu, I would try to keep his minutes, if possible, under 30 minutes a game. And maybe you kind of, mix and match backup center rotations with Jalen Duren and Paul Reed. Maybe you want to give Paul Reed a little bit more of a burn, because I thought in, the limited time that he did have in this playoff series so far, he's another center that I think is kind of a curveball in a sense, where Paul Reed's strengths are more in, pick and roll defensive coverages, because he really likes to blitz ball handlers and be handsy and get deflections and steals that way. And we've seen Paul Reed, put the ball on the floor. He can, catch lobs. He can protect the rim a little bit, but he is a little bit undersized. But I will say, I don't know if JB is going to go away from, not starting Duren just because that's his guy and he wants to keep his confidence at an all-time high. If you were to make a change in the starting lineup, it kind of says like, hey, like I don't trust you right now. I'd rather, trust Stu. But I do agree, defensively, we are much better with Isaiah out there, and the energy seems to pick up. Maybe JB can kind of manage his minutes, where maybe he's not playing him close to 30 minutes a game. He only played him 28 minutes tonight, but that was because he was in foul trouble. But I did suggest, starting Stu last post-game podcast that we did yesterday, just because I thought just the defense and just the lateral quickness that you get with Stu, I think is a little bit more consistent. Jalen Duren's lateral quickness versus Stu is just like night and day. Duren almost seems like at times he's just a step slow to everything. And especially his reaction time isn't just the same as Stu's. Stu's like way more quick and he processes it a lot faster. Duran did have a huge block in the fourth. I do want to give him that credit. It's just the defensive coverages that he's kind of just misread this whole series. I felt like it has cost the Pistons a couple of games of just his defensive misses so far, but I really don't know if JB is going to be switching the starting lineup. So we do have a comment from wondering what the dog doing, and he is a Pistons Talk member. Shout out to him. You guys can join the Pistons Talk membership if you'd like to. I do appreciate it. But he says Jenkins missing all 5 of those threes behind the arc. All I'm saying is that we need to see some Sasser minutes for game 6. Good win. I know we talked about Danish Jenkins a couple of times in these post-game podcasts about his just, I guess, inconsistency as it relates to scoring the basketball. And I think in moments he's done a good job, especially in pick and rolls, just kind of, finding the open man. But his one strength is his 3-point shot. And when he's not hitting his 3-point shot, he's not really that good of a finisher at the rim. You saw it a couple of times. He did miss a couple of layups, but he did also score a couple tonight. But the Marcus Sasser thing, I understand fans want to see him, but I think it was pretty telling during the regular season that he was completely cut out of the rotation. And the guard rotation has been extremely deep, even to start the season when you had Duncan, you had Jaden Ivey, you had Danish Jenkins on that 2-way. And Marcus only really played if there was like an injury. And he's had his moments so far this season, like the Lakers game. I remember he was hitting a lot of threes. He's had his moments as a ball handler, but I don't really know if JB is actually going to change his rotation whatsoever. It is kind of weird though, because Kevin Huerter obviously hurt himself. I can't remember what his injury was, but he is injured right now. And Karras played 25 minutes. Now, I don't have a problem with Karras playing in the playoffs in the rotation. But if you're not really scoring, I think it's really difficult to stay in this series. Like his defense, I think, has been excellent. Just on one versus one, just individual defense. I think his team defense has been a little bit of step slow, but when he's in isolations or just isoed with somebody, just his one-on-one defense has been really good. And I think that's what's kept him in the game. I just don't know if JB is going to really break his rotations and give Sasser minutes. I also worry about him being in the game, given who the Pistons' opponent is. Orlando is a very handsy, physical, tall, lengthy team. And Sasser, I think we can all agree, guys, he's a short guard that likes to handle the rock a ton. He can create his own shot. He can hit threes. He's one of the better 3-point shooters on this team. I just wonder, could he still get those same clean looks against this Orlando Magic defense? I'm not entirely sure. Like, if you match him up on a Jalen Suggs or you match him up on an Anthony Black, can he still get a clean look off, or is that ball getting deflected? Is his 3-point shot getting blocked? Maybe that's the same thought process with the rotations right now. Is you like Sasser, but you just don't like him for this individual first-round playoff matchup. Obviously, Danis does have more of a height advantage than Sasser, but he's not hitting his 3-point shots. Don't really know if the rotation is going to change to see Marcus Sasser in this game. We talked about it last post-game podcast. I just don't really see JB giving Sasser any type of minutes unless it's a blowout and the Pistons are winning, like we saw in game 2. He did get a little bit of garbage time, but I just really don't see it whatsoever. Piston fan 11. Why do we not try Isaiah Stewart on Banchero? What's the logic? Can we put Reed on Duran on Carter and they can rim protect? Am I lost? I think the main reason why they want Stu to focus on Goga Batadze versus switching him on Paolo Banchero is they want to make sure that Stu is protecting the rim, and they want to make sure that he is boxing out and grabbing rebounds. I think the logic is when Banchero is out there, they like the matchup with Tobias Harris in the starting lineup. And then when Tobias is on the bench, they have done Javonte Green a lot, which I think Javonte Green is, doing his best, kind of trying to guard Paulo. Paulo is just a very tough cover when you're 6'10", 250, and you're just a freaking freight train out there. Could you do a double big with, Reed and Duran and Carter to rim protect? Haven't really seen JB try to implement double bigs in this first round series for more than like 10 seconds. It just hasn't been a strategy that he's looked to use. But I think it's just kind of just like the schemes of what they want to do. My only thing is I really don't want to see Duncan Robinson on switches. And it's nothing against Duncan. Like, it's just like what the Magic are trying to do. The Magic are just trying to put him in these situations where they're attacking Duncan in the switches. They're attacking Duncan, in the pick and rolls. It's just a situation where the Magic are hunting for Duncan on every possession. I did see your comment about rumor is we're signing a player from the Serbian league. Can you tell us about him? So I did see this. Actually got sent to me by a European basketball account earlier. So it was reported that the Detroit Pistons are set to sign forward Isaac Bonga for $875,000 for a release clause for the Las Vegas Summer League. So to me, this is just early scouting by the Detroit Pistons for a two-way contract, right? This is a guy that is a forward, energy guy, defensive guy. Something to note, he did shoot 37% from three in the league. Believe he won EuroLeague MVP. Again, I think when you look at the Detroit Pistons front office and you look at their organization, Trajan Langdon does have some connections over in the European basketball world. As you guys know, he was an NBA player, but finished his playing career overseas in the European League. So, he does have a pulse over there in terms of like maybe prospects and connections. This signing to me is just a very like under the radar signing. I don't even know if we'll, see this guy in a Detroit Pistons uniform. He might be like a mainstay for the Motor City Cruise as a forward. I really don't know like what to make of what's going to happen after the season in terms of just the forward depth outside of Tobias Harris being a free agent. Obviously, you still have Ron Holland under contract. You still have Asar Thompson, but Javonte Green's also a free agent as well. I doubt this is a Javonte Green replacement. It's just like one of those signings where it's just like kind of random because you're still playing. It's April 29th. Maybe the Pistons are just kind of getting ahead of, filling out their summer league team, and they wanted to get a fresh look at a guy that has been playing pretty well overseas. I know he was a draft pick. I can't remember which team drafted him, but he has been playing overseas. Again, I really wouldn't read too much into it. I doubt we see him in a Detroit Pistons uniform playing any significant minutes. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. You never know. He might have a good summer league, a good training camp, but we're so far away and projecting with that. Jay Hart, can we please wear a different jersey? WTF. This is the one thing where I'm like, we've wore our home jerseys, I feel like, every single game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we wore our home whites like every freaking game? Because I feel like the Magic have worn at least 2 or 3 jerseys during this playoffs. Like I think they had the road blacks, they wore blues, they wore their city jerseys. The Pistons are just kind of been wearing their home whites. It's kind of weird. I don't really understand why. It's weird, man. I don't get it. Maybe they didn't do laundry. I just don't know. Like, I'm so used to like when I was growing up as a kid, like road blues were actually road blues. You didn't wear them at home. And obviously it's like the way that the NBA is with like their partnership with Nike, it's kind of screwed that up. It's really nostalgic when you do see um, teams like wear a road blue on the road. I know we had our city jerseys this year where it was like the black and teal ones. Like we wore that on the road, we wore it at home. Um, we've got the Pepsi Max that we haven't wore in quite some time. That was in the Arsenal this year, but it's just been all home whites. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really, really annoying. I'd like to see them wear maybe a road blue on the road against Orlando, but maybe not because Orlando's jerseys are blue too. But I did notice that too, Jay Hart, that they've worn their home jerseys the entire first round series. Motor City Ben Diesel as a comment about Ron Holland. I'm still so pissed Ron Holland isn't playing, especially when Herter's out. Levert doesn't do anything on offense. Why not play Ron over him? He makes stuff happen. I had to clean it up a little bit. Because I did get a comment from a mom that they like my podcast. Their son listens to it, but I got to cut my swearing down a little bit. Okay. Never know who's watching. Try to keep it a little bit PG from time to time. The Ron minutes are weird because he started the first round playoff series getting minutes, but he was getting in a lot of foul trouble, and JB had to kind of just rotate with him and Javonte. Javonte has a monster game 2. Pistons line up the series 1-1 at the time. And Javante's kind of been offensively, he's giving you like 5 points. The defense, you like it with Javonte, but the not playing Ron, it's a head scratcher. I feel like he has made a lot of mistakes in the limited time that he did get to play very early on in this first round series. But it seems like JB is just stuck on playing Javonte in that off the bench role to back up Asar Thompson. And that's just kind of going to be his rotation. And I do agree with you though. Like Kevin Huerter is hurt. You have Levert who played 25 minutes tonight. He didn't really do anything that much offensively, but defensively he did stay in front of his opponent. He was helping boxing out. He was helping a little bit with the ball handling responsibilities. But even if you just played Ron like a good 5 to 8 minutes, I don't really think it would hurt. Give Javonte a breather if he's not really feeling it. I feel like you're at risk of overplaying him because Javonte is a lot like Stu in a sense where he plays at one speed. He plays 100 miles an hour. And you could be in a situation where, Javonte could get hurt and you do have Ron Holland available, but I'd like to see Ron get a little bit more time. Obviously, he's much like Asar in a sense of like offensive game is still kind of a work in progress. But the two players that I've been like really like confused that haven't been playing is Ron Holland and Paul Reed. Paul Reed, obviously, a completely different conversation that we already kind of discussed with Jalen Duren, but Ron not playing, kind of being the energy and the glue guy that he's been all season for the Pistons is a bigger head scratcher than anything else. But I think it's by design with JB. He just wants to roll with Javonte Green right now because he's just kind of rewarding him on like what he's been doing so far. We got a comment from Sean Don 313. We got to win the rebounding battle and the turnover battle in order to win the series. Oh, 100% agree, Sean Don. Like, if you're boxing out and you're winning the rebounding battle against Orlando, that means you are winning the possession battle. That means you're not allowing Orlando to get those second chance opportunities. Like, I believe game 4, they had 16 offensive rebounds. Like game 4, I thought we could have won. We just could not hit a damn shot in the fourth quarter. Like this series could be easily, in the Pistons' favor if they knotted up the series at 2 games apiece. Obviously, they didn't, down 3-2. But yeah, you have to win the rebounding battle and the turnover battle as well. I know that's easier said than done. Like a lot of things that the Pistons are doing, it's not capitalizing on taking care of the basketball, rebounding. The free throws at times have kind of been like concerning, not executing out of the half court where they kind of get just in these sets offensively where Cade's is dribbling the ball, trying to get into an isolation, trying to get a mismatch and the ball sticking and it's not moving. There's been multiple things through this series that they really weren't doing during the regular season, and it kind of has cost them games. I will say though, what Tobias Harris said last post game when they did lose to Orlando in Game 4 was they're playing too casually, and I think that was kind of a wake up call to the locker room when your vet talks and says, "Hey, we're playing too casually." To me, that's saying like, hey, we're not really focused. We're being lackadaisical. We're not, paying attention to the details. And even during in Game 4, saying like we're not actually executing a game plan. That still to me pisses me off. I don't know about you guys, but reading a quote from Jalen Duren saying we're not executing what JB Bickerstaff has outlined for us. We haven't even done it for a full half. To me as a Piston fan is if a coach kind of outlines like ABC and you're not even completing A, that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. And it's on the players at that point. You can't even really blame the coach if you're not executing what your coach draws up for you to execute how to win a basketball game. That to me pissed me off more than anything else reading that after that Game 4 loss in Orlando. But I do agree with you, Sean Don. Like you got to win the rebounding battle, take care of the basketball, and capitalize on your free throws. You really, really do. They need energy out there. Get Holland in there. I agree. Like, there's a reason why he's been just such a hustle player. Like they called him the hustle man. Like all year on the FanDuel broadcast. And it's just infectious. Like what he does. He's much like a Sar in terms of just like impact. The way he's able to get those deflections. The way he's able to just dive for loose balls. Transition nightmare. His finishing at the basket, I think, is extremely I almost said overrated, underrated. Excuse me. I don't know if we're going to see Ron Holland. It kind of feels like JB wants to roll with Javante. Maybe Javante can start to hit more 3-point shots, but Ron has been the one player where I'm still kind of confused by it. But I guess that is JB Bickerstaff's decision. I'll do one more comment and then we will wrap up this post game show and we will see you guys. Let's say they played Wednesday. So game 6 will be Friday. I think Friday. We'll be seeing the Magic again. And we'll be doing a post game show there. I did see a comment that I did want to get into with you guys. I'm just trying to find it. And it was about Danish Jenkins and like just kind of like the why is he struggling so much? I can't find it, but I did read the comment earlier. I will say the reason why I feel Danish Jenkins is struggling is much like what they've been doing to Duncan Robinson. He's not really getting the clean looks that he was getting in the regular season, and that's intentional. Like Orlando does not want the Pistons 3-point shooters like a Duncan Robinson, like a Danish Jenkins, and a Cade Cunningham to get clean, good looks from three. Because if they're getting clean, good looks, especially in Jenkins' case where he shot over 40% from three, they want to make sure they're closing out on him. But Danis has to do a better job, in my personal opinion, of if the shot's not there, instead of trying to over dribble it and get a isolation mismatch, or just try to drive to the hole and maybe there's 3-4 Magic defenders waiting for him there. He should try to kick it out and find the open man. I get fans are very frustrated not playing Marcus Sasser in this playoff series, but I'll just leave you guys with this. If he wasn't getting off the bench in the regular season, I don't think he's going to get off the bench in the playoffs. I really don't. I'd be very surprised unless there is an injury. Knock on wood. You do not want any more injuries to this team, but I wouldn't count on Marcus Sasser minutes whatsoever. I know he's got a huge fan base. I understand why. He's a very fun, entertaining player to watch, but you're probably going to be rolling with Danish Jenkins off the bench in very short spurts around anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes a game. But we're going to wrap up this podcast, you guys. I do really appreciate you locking on in after the Pistons did get a much needed bounce back win over the Orlando Magic tonight. We'll see you guys again on Friday night, immediately after the the Pistons Magic game. Hopefully we're forcing a game 7. Hopefully it's a game 7. Never know. But hope you guys are having a great rest of your night. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.